Tonight, the mum of a girl who died at a scandal-hit hospital urges Nicola Sturgeon to be honest about what she knew. It comes as health bosses claim they were pressured to open the Glasgow site before it was ready. The former First Minister says it's completely untrue that she did so.
I want them to stop hiding behind the inquiry and come forward to the parents and the loved ones and be honest with us.
Also on tonight's programme.
His comment is soul destroying. For me personally, as a mum that's lost my only child.
Families of those killed in Afghanistan, like Sergeant Sean Binney, react with fury to Donald Trump's comments that NATO troops stayed back from the front lines. A watchdog is taking the Scottish Government to court after it missed a series of deadlines to produce documents about an ethics investigation into Nicola Sturgeon.
And coming up in tonight's sport, after a big night for Celtic and Rangers in Europe, we look ahead to a top-of-the-table clash at Tynecastle.
I'm Laura Goodwin, this is Reporting Scotland. Millie Main was the first patient whose death rang alarm bells about rare infections in the Royal Hospital for Children in Glasgow. The 10-year-old had been responding well to cancer treatments, but her condition deteriorated and she went into toxic shock. Today, her mother's asked Nicola Sturgeon to be honest about who applied pressure for the hospital to open before it was ready. In reply, the former First Minister has denied she applied pressure. The inquiry's own lawyer also said the Health Board's delayed acceptance of problems with the hospital severely impacted its work. Our health correspondent Lisa Summers reports.
10-year-old Millie Main died after contracting an unusual infection while being treated in hospital for cancer. This public inquiry into patient safety was set up after a long-running campaign by parents like Millie's mum.
None of this is going to bring Millie back, but I need to know what happened to her.
This week, NHS Greater Glasgow and Clyde admitted a probable link between some infections and the building's water supply.
All we wanted was the truth in regards to our loved ones, myself, Millie, and I just feel like we were invisible to them. I think they thought the problem would go away.
What do you want to see from them at this moment in time, now we've come to the end of these submissions?
I want them to stop hiding behind the inquiry and just be honest about what's actually happened in the hospital.
Today, the lead KC set out his closing submissions 6 years after it began.
The position of NHS GGC on personal account responsibility is untenable.
Fred McIntosh said there was a culture in the Health Board where senior staff failed to ask questions, amounting to complacency and willful blindness. He said doctors who tried to raise the alarm were repeatedly rebuffed and ignored, and he said individuals should be held accountable.
Senior leaders effectively need to know that if they show willful blindness or complacency or don't ask questions when patient safety issues arise, in due course, they will be held to account in a meaningful way.
The BBC has tried multiple times this week to secure an interview with someone from the Health Board. We went to ask in person today.
How you doing? We're from the BBC. We're here to see if we can speak to somebody from the executive team or the board about the hospital's inquiry.
But no one was available to speak to us on camera. At a press conference this afternoon, Kimberly Darragh said the former First Minister should face scrutiny.
I do believe that Nicola Sturgeon knows something, and I would like my message to her is to come forward and be honest.
Nicola Sturgeon says any suggestion she applied pressure for the hospital to open or knew of any safety concerns are untrue.
This is not the end of the inquiry. There's much work for me and the rest of the inquiry team still to do.
With oral hearings now finished, Lord Brodie will now consider where accountability lies for this huge scandal. There's no timescale on when a final report will be published. But for families like Millie's, closure is still to come, even after so many years.
I imagine her being the same as she always was, happy, resilient and just full of life. I just imagine that big smile every morning.
And Lisa joins us now. Lisa, in the last few minutes, we've had a statement from NHS Greater Glasgow and Clyde. What are they saying?
Yeah, in the last 10 minutes we've had this statement which says that they need to respect the integrity of the public inquiry, and so beyond this they won't be making any further comment. They again reiterate an apology to patients. They say under new leadership they are changing the culture in the health board, and above all else they say that since the problems came to light they have put in place a significant number of measures, and patients and their families should be reassured that the hospital is safe. Of course, that is something that Lord Brodie will be considering when he makes his final recommendation. But even today, the lead counsel to the inquiry said that the ventilation system at the hospital didn't meet government guidelines to this day. And so he said that while individual wards have been checked and upgraded, it might be something that the Health Board want to consider whether they do a risk assessment for ventilation for the whole hospital.
There are 6 years of evidence to consider in this inquiry. What will happen now?
Yeah, I mean, it's a hugely complex investigation, and that's why it has taken so long. There is no timescale on how long it takes Lord Brodie to complete his final report. I think optimistically there is a hope he might have it done by towards the end of this year, but realistically it could come into next year. And of course, all the while the questions will keep coming about accountability, both politically and also with the Health Board. And it's worth remembering that separate to all of this, there are other civil cases ongoing and also a criminal case where NHS Greater Glasgow and Clyde has been named as a suspect in a corporate homicide case.
OK, Lisa Summers, many thanks indeed. Sergeant Sean Binney was just 22 years old when he was shot dead while serving in the British Army in Afghanistan. For his mum, losing her only child was devastating, but she took comfort in the fact he'd undertaken his duty with pride. She's among many hurt and angered by President Trump's claims that NATO troops avoided the front line during the conflict and said it diminishes everything her son had done. She's been speaking to Rebecca Curran.
Jeanette's son, Sean Binney, died doing a job he loved. The acting sergeant from Aberdeen was on patrol with the Black Watch in Helmand Province when he was shot and killed in May 2009.
That's what spurred Sean on to join the army, if I'm being quite honest, watching 9/11 and what happened. What Sean done, he done with a lot of pride in his heart.
Sean was one of 457 British personnel killed while serving in Afghanistan. The UK was among several allies to join the US when it invoked NATO's collective security clause following the 9/11 terror attacks.
The Golden Dome will be on Greenland?
A piece of it, yes.
Now, these comments made by President Trump during an interview with Fox News have sparked outrage.
We've never needed them. We have never really asked anything of them. You know, they'll say they sent some troops to Afghanistan or this or that. And they did. They stayed a little back, a little off the front lines.
Jeanette says the president has diminished what her son did for his country.
His comments is soul-destroying. For me personally, as a mum that's lost my only child in that war, that man has built his life on a dime, on money. It's not about money, it's about lives, it's about our country, and he's just diminished everything that our children have done.
Jeanette is not alone in her anger. Scott Methven did 2 tours of Afghanistan in 2008 and 2010 with the Argyll and Sutherland Highlanders, where he served alongside American troops.
Well, we were very much on the front line. We couldn't be more on the front line. We were getting shot at. And it's very easy to sit and criticise and sit behind a computer. And it's not a big game. This is real people. And that's what these people, President Trump, needs to remember.
This evening, Prime Minister Keir Starmer said if he'd used the words President Trump did, he would apologise.
And so I consider President Trump's remarks to be insulting and frankly appalling. And I'm not surprised they've caused such hurt to the loved ones of those who were killed or injured, and in fact, across the country.
A spokesman for President Trump didn't address directly the questions put by the BBC about the comments, but said President Trump is right. America's contributions to NATO dwarf that of other countries. Meanwhile, the Royal British Legion charity is offering help to anyone who's been affected by the President's comments. Rebecca Curran, reporting Scotland.
Some of the day's other stories now. An armed attacker who tried to murder 2 teenagers in assaults caught on camera has been sentenced to 5.5 years behind bars. Amr Madawi carried out the attacks near Portobello Beach in Edinburgh in April last year. The 17 and 18-year-old victims were left with several head and neck wounds and one had a fractured wrist. People on Cumbria are calling for ministers to intervene over planned cuts to ferry services they say will leave them under pressure. CalMac intends to reduce sailings from 3 to 4 an hour for safety reasons. The ferry operator says extra turnaround time is needed between journeys to end the simultaneous loading and unloading of passengers and vehicles. And a chip shop owner from Fife has criticised misinformation after his business was mistakenly linked to a Reform UK by-election candidate with the same surname. Marco Valente said a flyer calling for a boycott of Valente's fish and chips in Kirkcaldy was posted through his door on Tuesday, 2 days before Romano Valente was due to stand for the party in the Glenrothes West and Kinglassie vote. Marco insists Romano Valente had no link to his family business. The Scottish Government is facing legal action after missing a series of deadlines to produce documents about an investigation into Nicola Sturgeon. Ministers were due to hand over correspondence relating to the inquiry, which saw the former First Minister cleared of breaching the ministerial code over the investigation of Alex Salmond. Our political correspondent Phil Sim has more.
Years have passed since the inquiries involving Alex Salmond and Nicola Sturgeon, but still they echo through our politics and the courts. He was investigated over claims of harassment and ultimately cleared of sexual assault charges in the High Court. She was accused of misleading Parliament over what she knew about it all. And for almost 5 years, there's been a freedom of information battle going on over the evidence submitted to James Hamilton, the independent advisor who ultimately decided that Ms Sturgeon did not break the ministerial code.
Hamilton himself complained that his report had to be heavily redacted and presented an incomplete and at times even misleading account of what had happened. He was bound by court orders which prevent the publication of anything that leads to the jigsaw identification of the women who complained about Salmond, and the Scottish Government has cited those same rules as why it can't disclose certain details.
In the current case, the government has agreed to hand some correspondence over, but has missed 2 deadlines to do so while officials assess where sensitive information needs to be blanked out. Information Commissioner David Hamilton, no relation to James, says full and timely compliance is a key element of the FOI regime in Scotland and that he will not hesitate to refer non-compliance to the courts. That's why he's taken this unprecedented step, which could see the government held in contempt and fined. But ministers say a contempt charge is exactly what they're trying to avoid.
There are some complex cases, and this is one of them, and the Scottish Government is committed to upholding the robust freedom of information legislation that we are subject to, but we can't take action that would amount to a contempt of court, and so that is the process that we are undertaking just now.
But opposition leaders say there's a lack of transparency.
Taxpayers are sick and fed up of these SNP psychodramas ending up in the court. The Scottish Government need to be forthcoming. They need to provide the information they've been ordered to provide and do so without any further delay and without any further cost to taxpayers.
The First Minister has promised that these files will be handed over soon, but ministers are going to court to argue that the full evidence submitted to James Hamilton cannot be disclosed without breaching the anonymity orders. It will also be down to judges to decide if much of this material ever comes to light. Phil Sim, reporting Scotland.
Tonight's main news again. The mum of a girl who died at a scandal-hit hospital has urged Nicola Sturgeon to be honest about what she knew after health bosses claimed they were pressured to open the Glasgow site before it was ready. The former First Minister says it's completely untrue that she did so.
Still to come in sport, we hear from one Scot hoping for a big performance at the Winter Olympics.
The cost of water in Scotland is going up. From April, water bills will rise by 8.7% or around £42 a year. That will take the average bill to £532 a year. Scottish Water say the increase will allow it to maintain and upgrade essential services. Our news correspondent Jamie McIver reports.
Keeping the water supply clean, safe and reliable costs a huge amount. This team are fixing pipes damaged by the cold weather. The amount we're charged is set to go up by 8.7%. That's 2.5 times the rate of inflation.
We're facing significant challenges. Everybody's experienced more extreme weather recently. That puts pressure on our system. We're seeing a growing population that's also moving from the west to the east. We need to invest in that. And then the pipes and the water treatment works and the wastewater treatment works that we have all need investment as they come to an end of their operational life.
Just how much you pay depends on which council tax band your home is in. The average rise will be £42 a year. Those in the most expensive homes will pay up to £103. But your water bill is contained within a much bigger bill.
Water charges are paid for along with the council tax, so for that reason we still can't say just how much monthly direct debits will go up by in April. Decisions on the council tax are due from local councils in the coming weeks. The Scottish Government hopes increases this year will be limited, but some councils have indicated that may not be the case.
Water charges in Scotland are amongst the cheapest in the UK. But any rise in cost can be an added pressure on tight household budgets.
If it's not bad enough, it's taking away your time to heat your house and it's to keep clean.
I'm a pensioner and I'm suffering the same as everybody else. Just getting to the ridiculous state.
It's just a wee bit extra, I suppose, and we need it. We need the water, clean water.
Most households can get help with their water bills, but one consumer rights body says those on low incomes need more support.
To target discounts more effectively, you would look at data that is available on low income from a number of different sources and then try and use a more modern system to be able to target affordability support at those people. However, it is complicated, it will take time to get right.
Scottish Water's critics are highlighting executive bonuses. The company insists that has nothing to do with this increase. Rises to water charges and the council tax will take effect from April. Jamie McIver, reporting Scotland.
Right, time now for sport with Jane, and it's a big game this Sunday. Tell us about it.
Yeah, a massive game at the top of the table. Laura, thank you very much indeed. Martin O'Neill says Celtic's valiant display away to Bologna highlights the team spirit and can have a galvanising effect as the club heads into that crucial league clash on Sunday against Hearts. The Tynecastle side are 6 points ahead at the top of the table, and Derek McInnes has urged supporters to stay positive despite two big injury blows. Well, Celtic played over an hour of last night's Europa League match with 10 men after Rio Hatate's red card, but a 2-2 draw keeps their hopes of European progression alive. Kenny Crawford has more.
A precious point and a performance typified by trusty. Magnificent and colossal, just two of the superlatives O'Neill used for the American, who capped the occasion with a massively important goal.
The effort the team put in, the spirit they showed, the willingness to get blocks on, to defend the penalty box in the manner in which they did, I thought was really, really splendid. We have to win next Thursday, but even so, we've got lots to think about before that.
It's Milne's corner. And a goal from Ocean McEntee. Hearts have had Celtic's number at both Tynecastle and Parkhead so far this season, but last night's hero believes his team are ready to go up a gear.
We're in a good run, good momentum, good mindset. So we'll just play the Celtic way.
You think you can take advantage of the fact that Hearts are going to be missing a few of their key players?
I think we're just focused on ourselves, really. If we go out there, play our game, play the Celtic way, it all takes care of itself.
McInnes's men have huge holes to fill in midfield and attack. The tenacious Cammy Devlin and captain Lawrence Shankland are both injured until March, while Benny Beningame is suspended. Thomas Magnuson might also be missing from the middle of the park. But the man pulling the strings is opting for a glass-half-full outlook.
We've still got a lot going for us in the squad. It's no doom and gloom, and I need to stress that. Obviously injuries are part and parcel of it. Losing key players is part and parcel of it, and I don't want anybody from a Hearts persuasion to lose any sort of hope or optimism. It's a brilliant game to be involved in, and we're really looking forward to it. So whatever Hearts teams put out, we'll be ready for Celtic and we'll be ready to compete.
And it seems that positivity is infectious in Gorgie.
Oh, absolutely. I think we can be relatively confident being both sides of the Old Firm, and yeah, it'll be good.
We're losing players, fair enough, but we've got a squad there, and I think we know what we're doing.
Aye, McGuinness, he's a good manager, but Cammy Devlin, we miss him, and Shankland.
So Sunday will show whether Hearts have the strength and depth to jump this latest hurdle in their bid to win a first top-flight title since 1960. Kenny Crawford, reporting Scotland.
Now, while the top two go head-to-head, third-place Rangers will be playing Dundee, and head coach Danny Rose looking to continue the momentum after clinching their 7th successive victory.
It feels at the moment we can win, but it's always hard working, and it was the big message after the game. When we think on Sunday we can go with 99%, then we have not this chance. We need again 100% to win the next game, and this is the crucial thing. We have to demand on ourselves high standards. I look just to ourselves. If we do our homework until the end of the season, we have a big chance. The teams around us can do what they want. If we focus on our own and we take the wins, then we can smile at the end of the season.
Toyosi Oyasanya hopes to pick up from where he left off after signing for Aberdeen on loan from Houston Dynamo, despite an approach from former club St Mirren. The 28-year-old, who scored 19 goals in his 3 years at the Buddies, left for the Major League Soccer club in April, but made only 6 substitute appearances after being sent on loan to Doncaster Rovers.
I feel like I'm coming back with, myself as a player. You have to be confident every time, and I believe in myself every single day, and so I'm not really out there to prove a point to anyone, but just as long as I can prove a point to myself, that's all that matters.
Now, could that man there, Scotland captain Andy Robinson, be on the move? Tottenham have begun talks with Liverpool to try and sign the left. To tennis, and despite losing his third-round match at the Australian Open, Cameron Norrie believes he can take some confidence from his performance. The top-seeded Brit lost in 4 sets to Alexander Zverev, with the German winning in style with an ace. Norrie's exit means there are no more British players left in the singles draw. Finally, freestyle skier Kirsty Muir says she's in a good spot physically and mentally as she heads to the Winter Olympics in Italy. The Games get underway in Milan Cortina 2 weeks today, and the Olympic flame you can see here arriving in Venice is on its way to Milan for the opening ceremony in the San Siro. Well, Muir's place in the ski team was confirmed today, and as she prepares for her second Winter Olympics, she's in a good place.
We've really tried to change my focus from results-based to skiing-based, and then that helps, and through that, I think that's when my kind of better results have actually been coming. So I'm always trying to not think about any of the outcomes that could happen. I've got goals of the tricks I want to be doing and the runs that I want to be doing, and for me, getting them down will be the biggest thing.
And Bob McIntyre has resumed his second round at golf's Amex Championship in California. He's not had the best of starts, dropping shots early on. He's 2 over for today, 7 under for the tournament overall, and 6 shots off the leader. Should I say there's a pitch inspection at Tannadice tomorrow at Dundee United. Supposed to play St Mirren. We'll keep you posted on that one.
OK. You had just about every sport in there.
We cover all bases. Cover all bases. Darts next week.
Jane, thank you very much indeed. Now, if you've been watching Traitors, you'll know that Stephen from the Isle of Lewis has made it through to the series final. So what is it like being sat at the round table with people trying to work out if you're a traitor or a faithful? Tonight's News at 7 asked Glasgow's Brian Davidson from Series 2.
It is pretty terrifying. Even the strongest willed people they've got some beads of sweat going down their forehead. The production is just fantastic. When you walk into that room, it's a gigantic room. It's like a church. It goes all the way up, however many feet. And then you're sitting there with the music on, you're not talking to each other. It's all very tense because people take it serious. It's a game, but you don't want to go home very much. That's why I kind of had a little bit of a meltdown. I did not want to go home. I didn't want it to end.
We'll catch that at 7 o'clock. Time now, though, for the weather with Judith. You've got your power suit on. You must mean business.
See, Laura asked me if she's never seen me in trousers, so for
Here she is.
Friday night power dressing for the weather.
Now, what about the weather? That's an unusual picture, isn't it?
Yeah, it's lovely. It's not, even when it's grey in Scotland, you still get some beautiful shades, but we're still not quite out the woods yet with the old rain situation across eastern Scotland, but there will be a gradual improvement over the weekend. But something to cheer us up this Friday evening, a beautiful sunset sunset there over Skye earlier on. West was always best in the Sunshine Stakes, and that will be the case again as we head through much of the weekend. The pressure chart shows us what's going on. This potent low pressure system to the southwest, this high pressure system with a lot of cold air embedded within it. We're stuck in between. Weather fronts getting caught up in the southeasterly flow, bringing a lot of rain still to eastern Scotland, along with strong winds. So warnings are still in force. This rain warning is valid until midnight tonight for the northeast quarter of the country. Then through the early hours, we'll see reduced warning taking over really for Angus and Perthshire and into Aberdeenshire as well. And that's valid through till 9 a.m. The catchments are still really sensitive, so a lot of water falling into them will lead to flooding issues. SEPA still have warnings in force. They are much reduced, though, from yesterday. So still further pulses of rain starting to move up from the southwest into eastern Scotland. Upland snow in the mix as well, but certainly turning drier for the west and the south during the overnight period. Still those strong winds pushing that rain into the hills of eastern Scotland. Lows generally around about 4 or 5 Celsius. Into tomorrow, well, western areas will be dry with some brightness. In the east, though, we still have those pulses of rain pushing in across eastern areas, especially that sensitive northeast. Across Shetland, we'll lose any rain from the southern end of the Isles. Still a strong gusty southeasterly. The possibility of some brightness further north, and across Orkney, Caithness, outbreaks of patchy rain, but eastern Scotland still seeing some heavy bursts of rain, heavy pulses pushing into Angus and Aberdeenshire, but the rain lighter and patchy the further south you are, and actually drier towards the southwest, 8 or 9 Celsius. So quite a strong wind around about coastal areas here. Some sunshine though for Kintyre running up the west coast, perhaps some brightness too for the Western Isles and for the northwest. As far as the rest of the afternoon is concerned, we'll start to see an easing of that rain and hill snow across eastern Scotland, then drier for a time overnight. Some clear spells for the west. This rain just moving into the southwest by the end of the night, accompanied by strengthening winds, but the rain a lot lighter across that northeast corner. Then on Sunday, still that patchy rain in the northeast. This will clear away from the southwest during the day, but quite brisk winds down here. The best of any brightness up across the northwest, 7 or 8 Celsius. Then a bit of a clash on Monday after a dry start. Cold air across us will start to become entangled with this weather front, bringing milder air, outbreaks of rain and high ground snow later in the day.
Gosh, the East Coast really has been battered, hasn't it, with all this rain?
And with the winds as well. It's just, I mean, you and I are in the East, so from the East, so we know what it feels like, and it's just bitter and relentless when it's like that.
It seems like it has been. I read it was something to do with a wonky polar vortex, but I don't know.
Oh,
you'll keep us informed. Judith, thank you very much indeed. And that's where we leave you. Bye-bye.